As you probably know, Intel's processors have a secret operating system on it, the Intel Management Engine, or Intel ME for short. And this operating system is based on a free software operating system, which is called MINIX. And in this video, I want to talk about if the GNU General Public License would have made a difference in the case of MINIX, because MINIX was released under BSD, under a BSD license, which is a permissive license. That means that other people or companies like Intel, for example, in this case, can take the code, so MINIX, so the operating system in this case, change it, adapt it, and then sell it or, well, distribute it to users without actually releasing the source code of their modified version. So permissive allows you to do whatever you want with the software, including what Intel did. And the GNU General Public License, or GPL for short, prohibits that. It doesn't give you this freedom to, well, this freedom, quote unquote, to redistribute without releasing the source code or without making your modified versions free software as well. But it forces you to release your modified versions which you distribute to other users under the same license, so under the GPL again. And the question now is, would this have made a difference in the case of Intel ME and MINIX? And I think there are different scenarios we can think about, like different alternate scenarios. Like, let's just assume MINIX would have been released under the GPL. What could have happened? So first of all is, and I kind of want to talk about one scenario which in particular I think is the most interesting. But first, of course, Intel could have used MINIX anyways. I mean, this would have been illegal, you could argue, because they would have broken the GPL if MINIX was released under that, or would have been released under that. Then again, they could have, well, I mean, no one would have probably known. I mean, it's been common knowledge that MINIX is running in the Intel ME only for a few years now, maybe a decade. But they could have also just written their own operating system for the Intel Management Engine. Of course, I mean, it's Intel, they have the resources to do that. They could have taken inspiration from MINIX and so on and so forth. But I think the most interesting option is they could have just released Intel ME as free software under the GPL. And at first glance, you might think, what? No, of course not. I mean, obviously not. Obviously, that's like, that couldn't have happened. But I kind of want to like think about this more, because so there are different aspects to this. First of all, I mean, we all know free software is generally like higher quality in terms of security, in terms of just general efficiency, and so on and so forth. And a lot of that has to do with, well, everyone can contribute to it. And I mean, who would have contributed to the Intel Management Engine? Like, of course, like not that many people, I guess, especially not like free software enthusiasts or whatever. But still, releasing such a software as free software would have forced Intel or their development team to have like higher quality standards. So of course you can't have any security issues in that, because then these security issues are out in the open. So you really have to make sure that your code is like waterproof and all this and this kind of stuff. So I think in terms of code quality, it would have actually benefited the project. But again, like you would say, well, I mean, they couldn't have done that because then everyone would have known what they're up to and so on. I mean, yeah, sure. But if we think about this further, I mean, everyone knows now, like we all know what's happening. I mean, at least like after the Snowden leaks in 2013, like everyone knows what's going on. This is no secret at all anymore. But I mean, what are you going to do? And this is kind of the argument, right? I mean, Intel could have just done that. They could have just released the Intel ME as free software if MINIX was GPL'd. And yeah, I mean, what are you gonna do? Like, buy from a different chip manufacturer? I mean, sure, yeah, there is AMD, and that's pretty much it. And they have their own version of the Intel ME, so they have their own management version, which gives them full access to the processor. So I mean, yeah. It's kind of of course, it's a kind of weird scenario to think about, but I mean, you kind of have to think about it to like realize the limits of free software, really. And I've written a lengthy article on that recently, which is on my website. If you want to read it, it's there. About just that, the limits of free software, because really, in this case, it's really apparent that, for example, Intel in this case can just do whatever they want. And I mean, not just Intel, but like three-letter agencies as well. Again, we can take the Snowden example. What has changed since the Snowden leaks? Well, nothing really. Because, why not? Because most people just don't care. Like, most people are ignorant towards this whole, like, aspect of their lives. And I think nowadays it's even going kind of, people are even leaning in the opposite direction where they say, well, I want to be surveilled because, I mean, the system provides for me better content or better products when it surveils me. And this is, of course, in some aspect, this is correct. I mean, even on YouTube, like, if you log in and let YouTube, like, save your browser history and analyze it and whatnot, you will get quote unquote better suggestions for videos. But yeah, so I mean, and you can think about that further and all that, but I just thought the whole Intel ME MINIX and GPL topic was kind of interesting as a kind of starting point to think about this stuff. And I don't want to say that one shouldn't use the GPL or copyleft licenses. I mean, I use them for everything because I think they give you as a developer, as a like free software developer, of course, great power or greater power, let's just say. But I think in this case, yeah, and again, like if I were the developer of MINIX, like if I would have written that and would have released it under BSD, I would have a like kind of bad feeling. Because I mean who wouldn't in this case? You kind of have to block that out, I guess. that your operating system, which you wrote for like fun and giggles, is now in every computer on the planet, basically, and is able to surveil people and whatnot. I want to kind of take this a bit further, because one argument that in this case will of course be said is that it's a kind of about activism. So if Intel would have released the Intel ME as free software, everyone, it would have been obvious what they are doing, that they have a backdoor. You would be able to see exactly what the Intel ME is doing, and so on and so forth. And let's just say, for argument's sake, that wouldn't give you any more power, because it's just waterproof, super tight software, and it's just super secure and whatnot. And all the code is signed with some private key, whatever, which is not part of the software, but on a separate chip. I don't know. Think about something. So it being free software doesn't give you any power, like direct technical power. But again, one could argue, well, it gives you like activistic power, because you can just show people, well, look at what they are doing. Look at what's going on. Like, it's right there. This is running on your computer. And of course, this is true. But again, I think that very much misses the point, because activism can only go so far. Like the greatest enemy to activism, I would say, is ignorance. Because, I mean, you can show someone all that stuff. I mean, you can show someone the Snowden leaks, but if they just say, well, I don't care, like, well, you should, but, well, I don't. Like, what are you gonna do? Nothing. Like, that's the thing with ignorance. You can't really do anything, because you're just gonna get ignored. So yeah, in this case, I don't think that would have made a difference at all. Maybe in like 2005 or something, maybe back then it would have made a difference, and maybe, I mean, yeah, so you can of course say, well, back then it would have maybe made a difference. I would doubt that, to be honest, because I mean, even in 2013 and the whole Snowden leaks thing was way bigger than Intel ME, I would say. So yeah, not even that made any difference at all. Like, it was just one point in one news cycle, basically. And of course it spawned a lot of like activistic activity. Well, activistic activity. Yeah, but activism. And like, I mean, it influenced a lot of people. I mean, myself included, obviously. How could you not be influenced by such a like gigantic like leak? I mean, of course. But for like the mainstream and for like most people, I mean, so it didn't really matter. And again, I think that's because in the worldview of modern like mainstream society, I think like being surveilled is very much within that view, like that it's okay, if you know what I mean. So again, because being surveilled has great benefits, like better suggestions, whatever. And it doesn't really have any downsides if you have nothing to hide. Yeah, the good old argument about having stuff to hide. So yeah. Yeah, okay. So this was kind of a ramble, but I hope you kind of, yeah, got my thought process on that. And yeah. Let me know what you think about like Intel ME, MINIX, GPL, privacy, all this kind of stuff, and how all it, like how all of it relates to another. Yeah. So if you care about that, about the whole free software thing and the limits of it, you can read the article on my webpage. I will link it in the description. And yeah, so that's pretty much it. That's all I wanted to share in this video. And yeah, have a nice day.